Hey, welcome everyone. This is Tracy Hayes and my partner here, Aaron Duez with Loan Depot. And this is our all things VA loan here. Monday at noontime is our goal. We're just 2 minutes behind, so that wasn't too bad getting everything set up. And our special guest today is a Navy veteran, Yordan Polanco, with the Pledger Polanco team with Slate Real Estate. And each week we're going to bring on an agent like Yordan and talk about the VA loan and why it is. I love the VA loan, and I know Aaron does. He's totally knee deep in it. But why we should not fear the VA loan, and hopefully each week we're going to educate you, giving you a little notch on why it is so great. So Yordan, welcome to the show. Tell us a little what's been going on with you.
Thank you guys for having me. So of those that don't know, I was active duty Navy from 2010 to 2019. So I got out, not too long ago, going on almost 4 years now.
Thank you for your service, Yordan.
Thank you. So I am fresh in, I guess the military world and the lingo still on, VA loans, and I have a lot of connections still with the Navy. That's
and I think most importantly is and you would agree, and Aaron, you can talk about how long you've been out. For a long time, they never really educated the veteran on the VA benefit, where it's a little different today on the home ownership.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to go over. So as I was telling you guys before the show, when I got the invitation to be on, I thought it'd be a good idea to reach out to a lot of my buddies that are still in or that got out recently, as well as my past customers, and kind of do a quick survey that I wanted to share with you guys.
Aaron?
Well, I would tell you that the biggest part of education is just spreading the word. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we've missed the opportunity on, for our veterans to truly understand what comes along with that benefit of home ownership. And so us being out there on the street and past military people that are doing real estate and mortgages and understand it inside and out are out there to help their buddies and our future servicemen of the world. So,
and I'm going to hand it off to Yordan to tell us what your circle gave you a feedback, but just to understand, not every lender knows everything. Not every lender utilizes the VA loan to its fullest. They have what we call lender overlays. There's certain things, whether it's a debt ratio, they may not take higher than, but the VA loan will allow, and other lenders are willing to take that risk. Because the VA doesn't lend the money. They are guaranteeing it. But if we write a bad loan and it comes back on the VA, they're coming in and investigating why. So there's just things out there that you need to keep asking and keep educating yourself on a product that is in such demand here in Northeast Florida, and Yordan deals a lot with that. So Yordan, you reached out to your circle. Tell us some feedback that you got.
Yeah, so I asked a couple of very simple questions. One of them being, have you used your VA loan? And out of the 24 people that got back to me, 20 of them had used them. But the average years that they were in the service before they used them was 7 years. So they missed all this time that they could have, taken advantage of that loan with their BAH and all these things that they didn't. And the main reason for that was they just didn't have the information. There was no trainings. So that was another question that I asked. I said, did you have any trainings while you were active duty? And out of the 24, 22 of them said they did not have any training at all.
I think that's one of the biggest myths right there that you bring up, is that you have the veterans saying, okay, hey, I have this VA benefit to be able to buy a home, but I can only use it one time, which is a huge myth. And so we're finding that the old guys or people that have been in the military for a while, they just don't understand or don't know or haven't been taught that I can use this as long as I have eligibility on my eligibility certificate.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, the 22 out of the 24 had no training at all. So I think that's something that we're missing here. And, it's good to know that the two that did say they had training, one of them got it they call it TAPS class, which is the class that you take before you depart the service,
right,
which I took it. And it was only about a 20-minute presentation, which is not enough time at all to educate someone on something like this. And the other person that said they had training was a commissioned officer. So they're typically, you know, college educated, have a bit of a larger circle than us enlisted did.
Right. They're going to
so
reach
that-
out and ask questions too, and draw it out. How many? It'd be interesting. And both of you guys serve, so you might have an idea. During your enlistments, how often does an enlisted person purchase a home, or have the opportunity to purchase a home where they're obviously stationed somewhere? You know, obviously some guys probably go single their whole time, but a lot of guys get married right when they do get enlisted at 18 years old, some of them. But, you know, where they do have to provide a housing, how many active duty are buying housing while they're active?
So
Any
I would
idea?
I don't
think
know
that's-
the number.
That would be a tough question. I would say that more today than before, you're probably seeing about 50% of those people that are active duty, if not a little bit higher, especially in your enlisted side. Definitely the percentage is higher on your officer side because typically those guys are going to be married. But I would say in your enlisted side, it's probably at least 50%. And these families are getting a little smarter. You know, I can be stationed in North Carolina, Cherry Point, own a home there. And because I'm relocating here to Jacksonville, I can use my VA eligibility again and buy another home for 100%. I mean, I can have more than one home on my VA eligibility, which is another one of those myths. I can only have one home at a time, which is not the case.
Right.
I think you're seeing some of these younger guys get in today that you can buy a fourplex at 100% financing and rent out the other three pieces of the property. So, you know, somebody that's wanting to get an investment while they're in the military, that's a really great way to go because I can go in there, buy a fourplex for $400,000 today,
Right.
rent out the other three rooms, and pay for my expenses.
Right.
So,
Right. Just got to find the fourplex.
absolutely,
That's the tough part.
they're a little harder today.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us more about your questions in feedback from your clients? Did you have any more information from them or what you asked them?
Yeah. So, you know, kind of my follow-up question was, when I asked them about the training and how much they had, most of them said they had no training at all. And I asked if they did have training, would they have bought sooner? And 21 out of 24 said absolutely they would have bought sooner.
Right. Knowing
So-
what they know now. Interesting.
Yeah, what they know now. So
Mm-hmm.
these are opportunities we're missing. You know, like you said, we're single. We have the BAH. We have 4 roommates, you know, sometimes, and we're all kind of splitting that. All that money, I mean, could be going into purchasing a home. And then, like you said, once you transfer to a different location, you can keep that home and rent it out as you know, income producing property.
Right. Right. And there, you know, one thing I found out going actually, you know, because you guys know I started my career at Quicken Loans. When I did go to Loan Depot the first time and was working in the call center, Loan Depot was doing, you know, refinances on the government. Because a lot of people think, well, I no longer live in that house anymore. You still can do an interest rate reduction loan, even though you don't live in that house. So another just a little tidbit, thinking, well, I don't live in that house. Now I got to go get a conventional loan. I got to take a higher interest rate, or if I have to put money down. No, that's not true. It's a VA loan. They'll do an interest rate reduction loan. Now, I don't know if does Loan Depot still the pricing? I haven't done one in a while, but
No.
the pricing's a little different because it's an investment VA loan.
No pricing different whatsoever on the investment Earl. Zero,
Cool.
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the subjects I wanted to talk about, because I you know, you guys, I think you would agree with me. One of the biggest fears out there for agents who aren't fully comfortable, I'm going to use that word, with the VA loan is what's going to happen with the appraisal. So, Aaron, if you could tap into what is the difference between a VA appraisal or your conventional appraisal?
So your conventional appraisal they're all the exact same, believe it or not. There are a couple of differences, but for the most part, they're the exact same. The biggest fear that people have on a VA appraisal is that it's a specialized group of VA appraisers that are going to come out and appraise your home. Well, believe it or not, a VA appraiser can also do a conventional appraisal. So there's a myth that we just go ahead and take right off the table. One of the second ones is that, they're going to be more hard on the value to be able to get what I need. That's not exactly the case. They're looking for three things on that property. They're not there to deny the loan. They are there to take care of the veteran and protect the veteran on an investment. But they're looking for three things. We call them the three S's: safe, stationary, safe, and then we're looking for my brain went blank. Absolutely blank.
I knew you were going to challenge yourself with the three S's.
The three S's. So safe, sound, and we want to make sure that it's clean. Make sure that, we don't have dog issues in the house and,
Well, that was something that was brought up the other day, and Yordan, you can give us some experience because you were actually going out into these houses.
Sanitary.
Sanitary.
Yes.
Have you ever had a situation when the house wasn't sanitary and had some issues with a VA appraisal? When the carpet's a little dirty,
Fortunately, I haven't.
That's a good thing.
I've been all good there. But I have had some appraisers going into new construction and being a little pickier on the conditions of that home.
Give us an example if you could.
For example, I had one, it was a spec home, and the appraiser didn't like, some of the cosmetic issues, which, aren't always the most important, but that was one of his big ticket things. One of them
stuff
being
you would get through on a walkthrough.
Yeah, something on a walkthrough. Some of the stairs, the planks not being finished, which I guess could be under the safety guidelines of that. But just some appraisers being pickier than others.
Interesting.
I think one of the biggest, one of the other pieces of that conventional versus VA is that on a VA, if the value doesn't come in, it just doesn't come in. And you're going to be notified of that once you get the appraisal. With a VA appraisal, they're going to call something called Tidewater. And so that's when the appraiser is going to reach out to the lender, and the lender's going to reach out to both agents calling Tidewater. And those agents have 48 hours to put together a list of comps that's going to help support the value of what we're looking for the sales price of that home. That's not done on FHA, and that's not done on conventional.
Yeah. In the old days, we'd order a whole new conventional appraisal. That's what we would do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't do that anymore.
Nope. So you can't fight the appraisal, but we can on a VA appraisal. So we not only get a heads up, but we also have the ability to also fight that value if it comes in low.
Yordan, can you speak a little bit to that from your experience from the real estate agent side, dealing with Tidewater? I imagine you've done enough, you've run it across it a couple of times, I'm sure, in your career. And what was it handled? Did it successfully, or how did it go?
Yeah. So, it was a big issue these past 2 years. Home values increasing tremendously. We did have one home. It was a pool home in a community, and they didn't have any other pool homes that had sold, within the parameters that we were looking at. So that appraiser did give us a heads up, and we were able to expand our search and find some other pool homes, similar to one that we were selling. And eventually we did make it work. He did adjust.
Cool. Let's talk about, and Aaron, I'll tip off with you, and then Yordan, I again, know you've experienced this too. The misconceptions, again, that they're out there searching for something that a conventional appraiser is not. And I was going back through some of my old episodes from the podcast, and one agent mentioned something about, the VA appraisers don't like water damage. Well, what appraiser does? Whether it's a conventional or VA appraisal, they're still going to see the wood rot and mention that stuff.
Yeah, we're seeing, with a VA loan, you are going to have a clean WDO report, where a conventional loan is going to be as is, and they're not worried about the WDO. Well, if you look at most of the problems that you have with WDO, they're not big. It's not like the house needs to be tinted. It might be a little mole on something, or maybe some chip paint on the side of the house, which is normal. And that's really something that's already going to be in your contract on a conventional loan, even though it's as is for repairs to be done. So to me, there's not a lot of difference. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, just because you don't need a clear WDO doesn't mean that the appraiser can't go in and actually flag an item and make it a condition, for loan approval.
Right.
Right. Well, I think the reality is this too. The appraiser, whether it's FHA, VA, or conventional, they're only seeing pretty much what you're seeing. They're not going up in the attic. But if they see something that looks like, termite damage, they got to report it. The VA loan just requires it, which you want your homeowner to do it. It's in Florida. You want that report, whether you're doing a conventional appraisal or a VA appraisal. Anyway, you'd want your inspector to do something of that nature.
And that's a good point.
Does it have a bond on it?
Because all the things that you're going to bring up on a WDO, your home inspection in the beginning is already going to pick all those things up on a conventional loan. So, or an inspection on a VA home. So all those things are already going to be noticed if the listing agent or the seller doesn't already know about them.
Right. Yordan, again, you're out there, you're mixing elbows to elbows with other agents every day. Again, on the subject of the appraisal, do you hear any other reasons why even a seller would not say VA financing or list VA as an option for financing?
I just think we're not educating our sellers well enough. These past 2 years have been really tough for VA buyers, just because there is that misconception of all these extra guidelines, which, in some cases there is, but VA is also the most secure loan that you can get, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And these past 2 years, unfortunately, a lot of buyers were missing out on properties because the sellers only wanted conventional or cash.
How do you think? How can we, how can we chip away at that? I mean, obviously the easy term is education, but how can we really, get the attention of some of these, some of the real estate agents who are just, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to use a negative word in any way. They're kind of being slightly a little ignorant to the fact and not really fully being comfortable with the VA loan. Even though there's VA, if there's one thing that's taught by more lenders in Northeast Florida is we all have VA lunch and learns all the time. But but are they picking up on it? What can we do differently, you think?
Well, I think one of the things that I've seen is the knowledge, if you will, is when it comes to condos, because that was the biggest thing is that, I have a condo, so there's no way I can get an approval if it's not already pre-approved with VA, where that's a fallacy for sure, simply because
educate us on that, because the FHA went to the one-off, right?
Right.
So how would a veteran handle this?
The VA can go to a one-off as well, so you're not actually going to see your condos being approved, if you will, on your project approvals inside the VA portal. What you can do now is simply just do a one-off, and now the whole project is approved. So just because of that one-off, but they're not going to update them on their VA portal.
All right.
It's
so there's
just all going to be one-offs.
There's agents listening today. Mm-hmm. So they have a veteran. He or she is interested in a condo.
Right.
What's the paperwork that they want to get up front for us?
It's the same paperwork. We just want to know, what's the percentage of investor concentration.
All right. So we need a condo questionnaire, a full version, I'm sure.
Pretty standard. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are straight up board. We're going to want to see the insurance, there's coverage, and there's reserves. I mean, those are the basic
financials
ones. And that there's not going to be any litigation going on. So if all those things are covered, which would be the same thing that you're looking for a conventional, the exact same thing you're looking for a conventional loan, it's going to be approved VA on a one-off. And the biggest problem was, or people thought the problem was, that it would take 30 to 45 days to get those approved, and it's not. Here at Loan Depot, we have our own team that solely works on these approvals on these condos, and we're getting them back in 12 days.
I'm getting educated today, to be honest with you. I did not know this little niche. I know FHA was doing it, but again, you do need to get all that documentation up front and submit it. Yordan, were you aware of this?
It's harder to get FHA than it is VA.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, I'm learning as well.
I'm
listening.
Yeah, no, Aaron's he's the guru, the VA loan guy. If you notice, I put in the notes Aaron, the VA loan guy, Dewey. Yes, I always want to put the Z on because in my car I have to say Duez, but it's Dewey.
Huey and Dewey and Louie.
Yeah,
We all
exactly.
three know all about it. So
Again, just to reiterate that to the real estate agents that are out there, you have someone who's interested in a condo. We had should we add? We don't want to do a 21-day close though, right? We need to put some buffer time because we are relying on other people.
yeah, we like 30 days on a VA condo for sure, but can it be quicker? Absolutely. So I tell everybody, look, let's put 30 days on it and I'll move it up.
So the standard documentation that you're going to get on any condo, we're going to upload that to our team, which obviously deals with VA and getting that approved.
Makes it quick, makes
Right.
it easy.
So you think, just off the top of my head, if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are lending in there, the VA wouldn't have any problem backing a loan that we would do in there.
9 out of 10 times, no. The only thing they're looking now for big in the state of Florida is making sure we have reserves. So that's across the board though.
Yeah.
That's not just VA.
Right. And that extra questionnaire, because the thing happened down in
Absolutely.
Miami, the deferred maintenance.
Correct.
So we learned a little bit today, didn't we? We learned about condos and one-off approvals and killing the VA. And Yordan, I really love to get your insight and again your comment on what can we do differently? What can we do to move that needle a little bit from as far as education that a lot of these agents aren't getting? Because I think what happens when these, I guess I'm going to just call it a standard loan officer just says, hey, I want to do a lunch and learn to get in front of a bunch of agents at Slate Real Estate, let's say, for example. And they go in there and they talk, we could do 100% financing. And then you got the funding fee, but they don't have to pay the funding fee. That's all. Everybody already knows all that stuff.
Right.
But those little things like we learned today, is there any way that we can, that you would tell other agents or us as loan officers, if there's another loan officer listening besides just Aaron and myself, what we can do differently just to move that needle a little bit more to help our veterans out with the benefit?
I really think it's just up to us agents to want to learn and want to educate our buyers and attend all these events and do as many trainings as possible.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're free lunch and learns. Some of us do lunch and learns a little bit different than others, but
I know at different times, different guys have done different things, but sometimes getting on the base is a little more difficult than others. I'm sure you guys have different times have tried to get on there. What do you think is would be a creative way to put maybe some young enlisted guys in, even just to educate them? Maybe they're not ready to buy right now, but obviously when there will be that time in their life where they are ready to buy a home and need to take advantage of it. How can we get in front of them?
So on the bases, they have what they call Fleet and Family. And I believe you can talk to them and they can have, they do classes for active duty military, which I think they do offer every once in a while. But you have to actually personally go in to take the class, which we know is never easy because you have to submit a request chit and then your command, doesn't approve it. So actually getting into the classrooms of those commands, would be important. Not sure how we can do that, but it's definitely something
it's getting harder to get on the base because you have places like Navy Federal and ViStar that are already located on the base. And so the last thing they want is another lender, another realtor standing on the base. But, one of the things that I'd like to get with you early is doing some stuff with Mission Barbecue. I've done this with them before, and they'll go in and they'll do lunches off the back of their trucks. And one of the things I've done is sponsored half the lunch. So now instead of a $7 meal, it's $3.50. Right. Sponsored by Aaron Dewey, your VA guy at Loan Depot. So I think it's those kind of things that are creative ways to get on the base and to be able to help these veterans and just get in front of them and tell them, hey, look, there is a different way.
Yordan, are you marketing in any way to trying to capture, someone who's stationed in Norfolk and then, being transferred here? In the real estate world and in understanding, your understanding of having served, to how do you catch that traffic? Is there a way to advertise to those guys who are, hey, I'm being transferred in 3 months, so my wife's online looking? Is there a way to get in front of them?
There's nothing in particular that I do. I've been fortunate that, because I've been I was in for almost 10 years and got out in 2019. I still have a lot of friends and people that I know coming into the area and transferring from the area. But I know some people, they'll put flyers and things at the USO. But I think, like we were saying before, most importantly is trying to get on the bases and into those classrooms.
Mm-hmm. Anything you guys want to add here as we finish up?
No, I will tell you, it's, I love doing loans. I just have a little special spot in my heart, mm-hmm. being a past veteran myself in the Marine Corps, is taking care of one of our own and making sure that they're not being taken advantage of. So you've heard me say this at my Lunch and Learns. It doesn't matter to me if I'm actually doing the loan or not. I want to be a resource out there for my agents and these borrowers. I've got a call today, matter of fact, right, on somebody that was having a problem with another lender and they couldn't get it figured out. But after a 15-minute phone call with me, I gave them the answers they needed in order to structure it differently in order to get that veteran taken care of. So mm-hmm. It's not about me. It's not about my wallet. It's none of those things. It's really more about, veterans wanting to take care of veterans 100% and putting them first.
Yordan, any final thoughts?
I agree, man. I mean, we can go on and on about misinformation with the VA loans.
Right.
But I think most importantly is, like Aaron said, helping out our military, building that trust with them. A lot of, at least for me, my buyers are coming in, they're relocating, they're deploying. A lot of times they're buying homes sight unseen. Mm-hmm. So they're trusting me to be their eyes and ears in the area and, be able to provide all the resources they need to purchase this home.
Right.
But just really taking care of them is what's important to me.
And I think you both would agree that when you earn that trust, with a veteran, and you built that relationship, especially a sight unseen, you got to really build a relationship, and to build that trust. They're your real estate. They're your borrower for life. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. They're going to tell everybody about you. That's mm-hmm. for sure. So if you do a good job and you've earned that, military people want to take care of military people. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of at our heart because we've done something different that makes a band of brothers more than anybody else.
Right. I
mean, the Navy and the Marine Corps, yeah, we're going to joke with each other and things like that. But when it comes to taking care of business overseas or wherever right. we're at, it's everybody against us.
It's kind of that thing you can talk stuff about your family, but
absolutely.
You don't let anybody else talk stuff about you. Well, guys, I appreciate we're coming up on the 30 minutes here, and if you are a agent who deals a lot with the veterans, please direct message myself or Aaron. We'd love to get you on, put you up here as we did Yordan. Come with a subject. Love for you to come with something, a story, and how we can, facts tell, stories sell. So if we got a horror story, how we're going to correct it the next time so we can keep moving and push that needle further and further. So whether you are a veteran and an agent like Yordan, or you are someone like Bobby Brennan, who obviously has had her two husbands were both served, and at Hover Guerrilla, she's totally dedicated to the veterans. We have a bunch of them here in the region that go all out.
Well, we should, because one of every 4 homes bought in North Florida is a VA veteran that's eligible. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's people here in Jacksonville that's want to help.
So that's roughly 25%, right? Could we move that to 30 to 35% if we actually got the proper education out there? I don't know.
Well, the good thing is that Florida is ranked number 2 in the nation for the most veterans that live here. So
Oh, yeah.
we're just behind Texas. We were behind California, but we've surpassed California because everybody's moving from California now. But we're just behind Texas. So I think, that could happen.
Well, I mean, just to be in the top 3 states is huge. And obviously, yeah, for retirement and so forth. And I know I could, my dad served 58 to 62. I guarantee you he has no, and I've told him, I said, why don't you use your VA benefit? I think when they bought their last house years ago, and he didn't think he was eligible. I mean, there's guys out there like that, that served in Vietnam and so forth that have no idea, even though they just served their 4-year enlistment or, whatever the minimum time they served, they are eligible and should take advantage of it. Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yordan, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right.